I'm super pumped up today because I get to speak with a walking encyclopedia of Stephen King, particularly when it comes to his legendary mythical Dollar Babies projects, which for Anthony, so for those that don't actually know what the Dollar Babies are, I guess that could sound a little bit a little devious, especially for babies. So maybe a good place to start is for those that don't know, what the heck is a Dollar Baby, and how did it all get started?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Rick, for having me on your show, and hello to all your viewers out there. Thank you for watching. The Dollar Baby, actually, is Dollar Deal. Stephen King started in the late 70s. He wasn't the big superstar status at that time. He only had a few books and a few short stories out in the late 70s. But he had this idea where he wanted he wanted independent filmmakers, students to make short films based on his short stories for $1 and a signed contract. If you agreed to that, then you would go out, you would make the movie, send it to him, he would watch it, and if he liked it, it got played around film fest all around the world. And that was in the late 70s, 1977. So here we are, 2023. There's been tons of Dollar Baby movies made since then, all around the world, everywhere from America to Germany to Europe to everywhere, and from all age groups and all walks of life. And then in the 80s, they had Dollar Baby Film Fest with the original Dollar Baby directors like James Cole and many others. And then it just took a little slow point for a little while, and then it picked up again into the 90s and 2000, and now it's just a freight train. So that's what Dollar Baby is. It's a signed contract in $1 that you make a short film based on a Stephen King short story, and he has to get the seal of approval, and there you go.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. And I understand that's part of that whole Dollar Babies deal for Mr. King is that no Hollywood folks need not apply. It's from what I understand, it's just for folks that are intending not to use it for commercial success.
That's correct. No commercial success. You cannot make any money on this. No profit. It is strictly made for film festivals only. I have been very fortunate enough to be part of these film festivals as host or part of host, and it's a great experience. We had 2 festivals that were seen around the world last year and one in 2021 called the Stephen King Rules Dollar Baby Film Fest. That was wonderful because all the fans around the world got to see it online for a 3-day fest, and that was a great experience. In 2021, Stephen King himself approved and promoted that festival on his Twitter account, which he has never done for any festival ever. So we were blown away when that happened.
Right.
And then it happened again in August of 2022, but this time, not just live, but it was also at the Alternating Currents Film Fest in Davenport, Iowa. So it was live on streaming to see around the world, but it was also live in person. And that was a really great experience last year.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I definitely want to talk to you, of course, more about the festivals. And what's kind of coming up with that, what they're all about, and some of the amazing discoveries that you've come across with the festivals. But if I can, just to back up a little bit, because I'm all about kind of the birth of a thing and where it all came from. Mm-hmm. You mentioned before that Dollar Babies, of course, started with some of the original folks that produced and made those films, such as James Cole. Was he the one that did the very first Dollar Baby?
No. The very first Dollar Baby was from, you put me on the spot. It was the Boogeyman from James.
No problem. Take your time.
We're going to edit this part, aren't we? Because my mind went blank here. Jeff Shuro. Jeff Shuro did the Boogeyman. But here's the thing. Frank Darabont did The Woman in the Room. And right. There's been this kind of a long story about who really technically was the first Dollar Baby. Frank Darabont got the rights to The Woman in the Room, but he didn't make the movie until a few years later. And then during that time, Jeff did The Boogeyman, and that came out first in 1983. So about a year later, they put the 2 movies together on a VHS tape, and it was rented and sold at that time in the early 80s. So technically, Frank got the rights for his first, but Jeff made his first. So it's kind of a you can take your pick of who the first was, but most people say it was Jeff's Boogeyman was technically the first Dollar Baby, and that was in 82, 83.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, that sounds like kind of a chicken and an egg scenario. So, but having chatted with Frank, I'm sure he would be more than happy to give the first dibs on to somebody else. And it was incredible chatting with him a while back about some other stuff, and he lauded the Woman in the Room and the Dollar Baby deals as the very purpose for his existence as a filmmaker, and felt that none of the movies would have been made if, of course, not for Stephen King and his generosity, not just for big ass movie makers like he eventually became, but folks like who he was before he made that, and other folks as well that were trying to come up. They're trying to get their I guess their heels, their boots on the ground as far as their career goes.
Right. I just Frank is great, and he went on to great success with The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, and The Mist. But I have if I may, a quick 20-second story about Frank Darabont. In the early 90s, I used to work at a laser video store in the Valley in Southern California, and a lot of celebrities would come in there, and Frank was a regular customer.
Okay.
And he would come in and we talk, and he was super, super cool. And this was before Shawshank. So I only knew him from the Indiana Jones Chronicles, the TV series. Yeah. That's what he was working on at the time. And we were talking about Indiana Jones. And the next time he came in the store, he pulled me to the side and he said, "Hey, Tony, I got something for you." And he gave me an issue of an Indiana Jones comic book. And I still have that comic book today.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. That was a place to be, it sounds like.
There's a lot of big people used to come in there every day, and my boss said, just treat them like regular people. And I'm like, I'm cool, Dave. I can treat them like big, regular people. And He didn't say how big the names would come. Mick Garris was another one, and Mick's been a great friend for over 30 years. We all know he's done more King movies than anyone else. But that was a good time back then.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. So when was it that you first discovered the Dollar Baby deals?
I found out about the Dollar Babies two ways. The first way was, so to me, there's different levels of Stephen King fandom. And, you can buy the books, you can watch the movies, you can buy the collectibles, there's that status. But then there's the status of people who want to go further than that. They want to learn more about the man. They want to learn about where he got his ideas and the history of his life and his stories. And there was a period where I wanted to do what I call the Stephen King scholar years. So I started buying all these books about Stephen King, majority of them being from the greatest man in the world, Stephen Spignesi. And he wrote a book called The Complete Stephen King Encyclopedia, which is a monstrosity-sized holy grail of books. And we're talking over 800 pages. I thought, oh, my God, it's going to take me forever to read this because it's all in tiny print and everything. Right. So as I was reading it, there was this chapter in there by James Cole, and they was talking about the Dollar Babies. And I'm like, what's a Dollar Baby? I've never heard of this before. I've learned all this stuff about King, but I've never heard this before. Yeah. And so I read the book and the chapter and so forth. A few months later on social media, I see a friend of mine's friend of a friend type thing. And there was a guy named Billy Hansen, and he was talking about his Dollar Baby film, Survivor Type. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to reach out. So I did and said, hey, Billy, I told him who I was and everything. And I said, hey, I do celebrity interviews, film reviews, and book reviews. Can I interview you and talk about your Dollar Baby film? He said, absolutely. So we did it, and it was actually also published in our local newspaper, the whole interview and everything. Yeah. And he was so impressed that he told some of his Dollar Baby friends, and so on and so on and so on. So next thing you know, I get this snowball of people wanting me to interview them to talk about their Dollar Baby films. And it was kind of like a light shine down on this group of people because they did their movie. It played at some fests, and then that was it. It was over. Sure. And it's like, well, somebody's interested in something I did, sure, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you. And then it brought them back into the spotlight again. And I think there was kind of like a shot in the arm for the Dollar Baby universe, so to speak, when this all happened. So
that's incredible. It's almost like I'm not going to call it divine intervention, or anything like that, but it was almost like the universe was kind of shining down on you, and it's like, I'm just going to align a few stars here to line these few people here and get this going for you. That's pretty awesome.
And that's exactly what happened, Rick. I mean, it really just kind of one of those things in life where things just fall into place or meant to be, or if you're going to talk in Stephen King terms, it's that sort of thing. Yeah. And another great thing that spawned off of all that was when Billy and I, we became really good friends because of this. In that year that I interviewed him in 2013, I was covering the Crypticon Horror Convention in Minnesota, which if you've ever been to HorrorCon, you know what they're like. You go there, you have fun, meet celebrities and so forth. They have play films and so forth. So I covered the convention, and I won a North Dakota Writers Award for that for our local newspaper.
Nice.
And I told Billy, because they invited me back for 2014, and I said, Billy, wouldn't it be cool if we had a Dollar Baby Film Fest at this convention? He said, well, let me talk to King's office and see what we can do. Boom. They said, okay, we got the approval. So I hosted the first annual Stephen King Dollar Baby Film Fest at Crypticon in 2014. And it was such a big hit. The Crypticon people asked me back. So I went back again in 2015, did it again. And it was even a bigger crowd, more movies. And it was a lot of fun. And then in 2016, they wanted to do it again. And I said, no, I want to kind of focus on my own writing and so forth. And I took a break from it for a little bit. But then, like I mentioned earlier, in 2021 and 2022, I was part of the Stephen King Rules Dollar Baby Film Fest. So that's 4 of them all together.
That's fantastic. So how many Dollar Baby movies are there currently? Do you know?
Well, I mean, that's hard to say because, number one, I mean, we're talking 1977. This is 2023. Yeah, they're all over.
Short stories.
I mean, yeah, there's hundreds of short stories. But there's only a certain amount you can actually make a film from. They have a list of choices on King's official page. I can't really answer how many technically there are, but the problem is that some people go out there and they'll make a movie and they'll say it's based on King's story, but they didn't get the authorization. They didn't get the contract, and so they're not playing by the rules. So I don't count those as Dollar Babies. I only watch or review or put in my books real Dollar Babies that got this, King seal of approval contract.
100%. And with that in mind as well, so when King, grants his deal to these budding filmmakers, does he also put in as part of his stipulation of the contract that once they make that movie, it can't be made again by anybody else, or how does that work?
You mean the story?
Right.
Oh, no. The like I said, there's a list of maybe, 20, 25 short stories that a filmmaker can choose from. Okay. And there are, many, many versions of that same story on the list. Like, Man Who Made Flowers. I think there's like, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 versions of that, out there. So yeah, a filmmaker can make the same movie as other filmmakers, but that's okay because there's so many different visions and storytelling. And, I've seen some versions of some of the short stories where they're musicals. I've seen them animated. I've seen them comedies. I've seen them gory. There's so many different visions out there. And that's what's so great about the Dollar Babies is that these directors have their own vision in what they see in the story. And some of them even expand it. They'll make a prequel or a sequel or a sidequel, if you will. And I love that. I love that creativity. There's so much talent out there that I've seen. And it's just, my heart goes out to every filmmaker who's ever made one of these. It really does.
With all the films that you've seen, I mean, that's got to be so interesting because you get used to the story, especially an older story. One of the filmmakers picks it up. Have there ever been a kind of an instance where you watched a film that was so out there? I mean, a musical, I can only imagine what that must have been when you're like, what were they thinking? I can't believe I'm watching a musical or some complete 180, perspective or version of the film. And you thought, that was really good. I wasn't expecting that.
I give, people always ask me all the time, what's your favorite Dollar Baby you've seen, or what's the best or whatever. I can't say which one is the best because they all are great in their own way. There's something about each and every one of them that is special. And just that someone out there took a camera, had a vision, had a dream, and made it happen. That in itself is the best. But if you want to be more specific of which ones, movies like, Billy Hansen's Survivor type, definitely the goriest I've ever seen. Or Tom Montana's got to be the sickest with a very tight place. Or Maria Ivanova, she did an all animated Dollar Baby Beach World, which she did all the art herself, and it was just mind blowing. The list goes on and on. James Douglas, The Doctor's Case, full on production, like something you would see in the actual movie theater and pay your $5 to go see. I mean, the list goes on. There's so many wonderful adaptations.
And I can only imagine too, Anthony, that, you know, as you're following these amazing filmmakers through their journey, certainly starting out with one of the Dollar Babies, and then seeing this incredible, which no doubt inspiring story as they build up their career. I know we mentioned Frank Darabont. I think he's a great example. Can you think of any other filmmakers as well that, you know, you've kind of seen throughout the years and you think, wow, they've just gone on and done amazing things, and all started with the Dollar Baby? Or maybe filmmakers that you've seen make a Dollar Baby movie that you thought, this one's going to make it, but they just haven't yet. Nobody knows about them yet, but they will.
Wow. Two-part answer on this one, Rick.
Sure.
Okay, first of all, as far as the ones who have gone on to other things, a lot of the directors went on to other things. They went on to TV shows or more movies or Netflix TV series, or people like James Douglas, who opened up a student a place to go for people to learn how to act and things like that. And then there's people like I'm on the spot here.
No pressure.
Some of them went on to write books. Some of them are just doing, you know, local independent films. But then, you know, what's sad is that there are some that didn't go on to other things. They made their film and they went back to their 9-to-5 job, or maybe came on hard times or something like that. And it's kind of it's a little sad because they have such great talent. You just wish the best for them, you know?
Right.
But at least they had that, you know, 15 minutes of fame kind of a thing. And that's what they're known for. And like I always tell them is, hey, you're part of the Stephen King universe now. You're in the history books of Stephen King because you made a Dollar Baby. It's there. It's never going away. Right. And that makes them feel better. And you know, and I'm glad I can say that to them. So,
yeah. Very cool. No, I really appreciate you saying that. And it might be out of order as far as I do want to talk to you more about the festivals and the selections and what that kind of means to you and the filmmakers. But I want to piggyback off something you mentioned as well about, and I think that's fantastic, that even these filmmakers that maybe go back, they go back, do the 9-to-5 thing for any number of personal, professional reasons. You mentioned that it's really amazing. And I agree with that, well, no matter what else they do, they've got this film there. How are these films, as far as you know, as a whole, or maybe just simply several of them or whatnot, how are they archived so that anybody that wants to maybe go back in time to watch these, is there any sort of one place that's managed, like a library of these films, or where's the best place that people can kind of go back and maybe pick these films out? Or is that for the collectors to kind of fight and debate over how to get all these films?
Okay, so like this goes back to the contract and the original rules. You cannot see these movies anywhere except at a film festival. So unless there's a film festival going on, you can't see them. There are some people who break the rules and they will see them on, you know, social media or YouTube, somewhere like that out there in webland. That's a big no-no, and I lose total respect for anyone who tries to do that. Right. Respect the contract, respect the rules, respect Stephen King. See him in a festival, see him in a theater where they belong. And so my suggestion is to watch Stephen King's webpage, watch social media Stephen King fan pages, and keep an eye out on the next festival announcement, where it might be in your local town, in another state, another country, even on online, like we did with the Stephen King rules thing. That's where you watch them. That's where you get your chance. And that's why those two festivals that I was part of were such a success, that hundreds and thousands of people around the world got to see these films for 3 days straight, and the interviews with some of the directors, and the comments from those fans watching, they were like kids in a candy store. They're like, oh my God, where have these been? I've never heard of this. I've never seen of this. Thank you for doing this. And that's a great feeling that we were able to spread that to the world those 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely a great segue as well to talk to you a little bit about the festival, because I'd love to know what it takes to put something like that on. Like, what kind of a team do you put together? I can only imagine. I mean, I followed a few friends that are putting on other film festivals and that, but something that, I mean, let's face it, he's Stephen King. You put a stamp on stuff, people are going to show up, even out of curiosity. And if they know you, the experience you've had with other film festivals, they've heard the rumors that that one's a good one, all the more, you're going to need a big gate
Yeah.
for getting them all through there.
The festivals, again, there was a time when they were happening a lot, but like I said, there was a quiet period for a while, and then they started to come back up again. The two that I was originally involved with, the Crypticon ones, that was just basically, credit goes to Billy Hansen for making the connection, and to Nick Kaufman, who ran Crypticon at the time. I will thank them both for that. That's how those two festivals came about, and I was just. I'm just a stone's throw from Minnesota, so I just hopped on over there and did my thing for a couple of days and had a great time. And the crowd response was amazing, and it really was. The two Stephen King Rules festivals, that credit goes to Norm Coyne, James Douglas, and Leah Coughlin. James not only helped put this whole thing together, being a dollar baby himself with the doctor's case. They're up in Canada, and they did all the footwork, groundwork, phone calls, all that kind of stuff. I was honored enough to be asked along as a host because of the book, and because they wanted someone hands-on who would know about these things, and they had me part of it. And then it was such a great hit, even though it was online and during the pandemic. The alternating currents people in Iowa, Davenport, Iowa, last August said, "Hey, we want you guys to come here and do it, but we want to do it live." And we all flew there, and that was an incredible experience, because if I can extend on this answer for a quick second, Rick.
Sure, please.
It wasn't just online. It wasn't just live for 3 days, but 3 of the Dollar Babies came there in person to the festival. Steve Tramontana, Rob Darren, and Paul Inman. And it was great to meet those guys in person after I've already interviewed them for my second book. And we had a great time those 3 days. A couple of friends of mine flew from out of state. They were there. And it was just amazing to have real Dollar Babies in person, in studio at the festival. It made it even bigger and better. And that was just great.
No, absolutely. That's and what a cool thing too, that through the pandemic, then that you still kept rocking it with the festival. And I mean, I think I applaud people that do that, because what else are you gonna do during the pandemic, especially at the height of the lockdown? So what a great way to bring in a fantastic crowd, and probably a lot more people that maybe wouldn't have watched it otherwise.
Well, yeah, and we really wanted to do it, somewhere, a location or live or somewhere that first time, but because of the pandemic, we had to do it online, or there was no other way we could have done it. But at the same time, it brought a lot of happiness, a lot of cheer, a lot of uplifting during such a dark time. And there was fans out there that were just like, we needed this. We needed something cool.
That's great.
This was it,
It'd just be a great time to ask you, if somebody wants to go out and see a Dollar Baby festival, I take it, are there several around the area that they can go and see them in? Obviously, we'd want to go and see yours, because you've been doing this for a while, and obviously put on a fantastic show. What would you say to people that are looking for Dollar Baby festivals?
Again, you would have to check the Stephen King webpage or the Stephen King fan pages and look for any kind of announcements that are made, or just Google it and look up Stephen King Film Fest or anything like that. These don't happen all the time. They don't happen several times a year during like horror conventions are. Horror conventions, you can almost go anywhere and there's a horror convention. Right. These are very rare treats, so to speak. I would love for them to be all the time. I would love that, but unfortunately it's not. So it's just like one of those things where as soon as you hear, you better get there, because this is your only chance and you're not going to see it again. I can't say where the next one's going to be. I can't say if there's going to be a third Stephen King Rules Fest. Maybe, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And until then, the nice thing is that you're also not only put on this incredible fest that people can check out, but you also have some books that, from what I understand, are being commercially sold that people can enjoy, even if they don't quite get a chance to get to the festivals and see one of these Dollar Baby films.
Right. Well, okay. My book, if I can, here's the plug, people. Stephen King, Dollar Baby, the book, which is
nice.
right here is my first book that came out in January of 2021. Did very, very well. Basically, this book is for those who can't get to a festival. This is the next best thing. This will tell you everything you need to know, want to know, never knew before about Stephen King's Dollar Babies, the history. There's interviews, trivia, fun facts, celebrity contributors are in there. Everything you would want to know is in there. So if you can't get to a festival, then pick up the Dollar Baby book. It's the next best thing.
Awesome. And you have you're working on another Dollar Baby book right now too, I believe, aren't you?
Yes, I am. It was originally supposed to be out last year, Rick, but I got an extension because there was a couple of very special ones I wanted to add in there. But more importantly, I wanted to have the Stephen King Rules Festival from Davenport, which was in August. I wanted that to be in the book. It had to be in the book. So right. I asked for an extension so I can have that in there. So the second book, the first one is called Stephen King Dollar Baby, the book. And the second one is called Stephen King Dollar Baby, the sequel. And I will explain those titles if you wish, but it will be out later this year. It is packed full of a deep, deep, deep history of Dollar Babies, lots of surprises, a lot of cool contributors, very famous contributors. And this is going to be a great, I love it. I think it's going to be awesome in the end, but it will be out later this year.
Perfect. I 100% looking forward to that. And Anthony, you kind of teased us a little bit as well, where you mentioned a couple times some very interesting facts, some trivia regarding celebrities that have maybe played a part in some of these Dollar Babies. So obviously the Dollar Babies themselves are more designed for up-and-comers, brand new filmmakers, but where do those celebrities come in? Are you talking about some kind of cool cameo that we should be watching out for, or sponsorship, so to speak, or what's reveal the tease, if you will?
Are you talking about the celebrities in the book, or are you talking about the celebrities in the films?
In the films.
Oh, in the films. Well, that goes to the director of that film. I mean, for example, James Douglas, who did The Doctor's Case, he has Denise Crosby in his film, who we all know from Pet Sematary and the Star Trek Next Generation. Forgive me, I forgot the actor's name, but Smoking Man from the X-Files, that actor is also in his film. There was another Dollar Baby I saw that had some celebrities in it. My mind is blank with names today, Rick. I didn't study.
After a while, it's like alphabet soup, right? It's like you've got this constantly revolving Rolodex going on. And, I know.
But no, it goes to the director themselves. If they have friends in the industry and they say, "Hey, do me a solid, do me a favor," they'll throw them in their movie as a little favor, and next thing you know, you're watching this Dollar Baby, and it's like, oh, there's so and so, and that makes the film even cooler. Especially James Douglas's The Doctor Case, because to have a actress like Denise Crosby that was in Pet Sematary be in a Dollar Baby, I mean, that's I may only imagine how James felt, to have that on her. So yeah, I guess it's a who kind of a thing,
No, 100%. Yeah, I think that's a lot of what it is with filmmaking too. Who you know and how good you are at making money. as well. So
yeah.
Or at least getting other people to spend money so you can make a film. That might be more accurate. So
yeah, I mean, you're always ask that one little favor,
Exactly, just one more thing.
Yeah.
What would you say would be the biggest impact these Dollar Babies have had on some of the careers and even on the works of Stephen King themselves and how they're presented?
Well, okay, first of all, as far as the individual filmmaker's career, think about it. If you were a filmmaker and you were going to do your next project or a few projects down the road or what have you, or you're writing a book or whatever it is, and someone looks at your resume and they say, okay, well, he worked on this show, he wrote this for that movie. Oh, Stephen King Dollar Baby. What's this?
Yeah.
You see the name. And that's going to draw your eye right away and your attention right away. So that person would look at that resume and be like immediately like, hey, this guy, he was part of Stephen King. Let's talk. Let's do something.
Right.
I don't know too much about that part of the, because I'm not into that part, career-wise or professional-wise. But as far as the impact, once again, these directors, they are part of the Stephen King universe. They're in the history books. Me personally, if I had done a Dollar Baby, I would be so proud to be part of that world. And, you know, here you are in a list of Christine and Cujo and The Stand and The Dark Tower and all these great classics that we all love.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you see your Dollar Baby film listed on there as an adaptation. You know, what bigger honor is there, you know, as a Stephen King fan and filmmaker?
Yeah. And speaking of that too, Anthony, I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. Have you considered, you know, picking up a camera or picking up a pen and doing something with one of these Dollar Babies, either through script work or otherwise?
I get that question a lot. I really do. People say all the time, you need to do a Dollar Baby. You need a Dollar Baby. I'm not a director. I mean, I would know how I would like to see a moving baby, but I know I'm not a director. I would like to be maybe part of a production or maybe the side guy to, you know, throw some input to the director and stuff. I prefer to leave it to the professionals, but I would like to be involved in some way. I am currently working with a Dollar Baby filmmaker, Rob Darren, who directed Mute, Stephen King's short story Mute. I'm currently working with him on a film actually that will be coming out based on a short story that I wrote. So that's an honor in itself to be working with him. Rob was one of the ones that was at the festival last year, and he's a great guy, great talent. So, but yeah, would I want to direct one? No, but I would like to be part of one.
Totally fair. And to ask you about that too. So you mentioned as well that there's other ways you can also keep track of all of your work, all the work that you do regarding the Dollar Baby, Stephen King. And I would imagine a great way to keep in touch with what's happening as far as the festivals and where we can see these awesome movies and learn more about these filmmakers outside of your book is there's a Facebook group I think you mentioned as well. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because that's super accessible even if some of these festivals may not be.
Right. As well, you know, you can go to the Stephen King fan page that I run. I run a social media page called All Things King, ATK, All Things King. It's been around for 11 years. We have a large audience of people from around the world who come there to see what I have to say about Stephen King. And I have it a very fun page. It's got information, breaking news, fun games, trivia, so forth. And whenever there's a festival or any kind of announcement of breaking news of any kind, it goes there. So people can check that out. It's called All Things King, ATK. And you can also check out people like Skimmers is another social media page that Vincent runs. That also has breaking news on any kind of King festival or any news like that. On Facebook. So
perfect. And and for everybody watching too, I'll make sure that I put a link down below too, so that you don't even have to leave this Stephen King session to go Google it and then find another session. Just go right there like a nice bridge over the waters. Maybe you can give us an example of some of the trivia. I mean, what are some of the things since you got involved with the Dollar Babies that maybe you've been most surprised to find out and think, wow, I never knew that about this story, or that aspect of Stephen King, or maybe something that you're like, that just surprised you, that kind of flipped you upside down and makes you go, wow.
Well, let's see. Well, as far as the films themselves, like for example, AJ Gribble, he did Cain Rose Up, but which he called, and then he did a prequel called Garish, and he was just a young teen when he made his film, and he made it with a phone. That's a cell phone. Wow. And I'm like looking at this movie, I'm like, are you kidding me? No way. Or James Cole. James Cole was like, I think 15 years old when he made Last Rung on the Ladder in the mid 80s. 15 years old, I was watching MTV and listening to heavy metal music. Here's this guy, you're having a camera making a Stephen King movie. And as far, people like, Marcelo Trago, forgive me for not pronouncing his last name.
Sure.
He did a film. He's a Brazilian filmmaker. And he made his film for only $700.
Wow.
And you watch the movie, Zordit, and which is a great film. And you look at the special effects and everything he did, and I'm like, you did that with $700? Right. It blows your mind. It blows your mind how dedicated these filmmakers are. They will do whatever it takes to make their vision out there, as far as the budget or how they film it, or sacrificing their time with family, or I know that some filmmakers have told me that bad weather conditions while filming and equipment got wet. Different.
Yeah.
There's tons of stories that I've heard that you just, and then in the end, once the movie's done, you can see that heart went into it. And that's the reward at the end.
So hard work and no excuses seems to be the MO for just getting out there and making that. But I mean, geez, you're talking about, these incredible movie makers are, going on a bootstrap, shoestring budget rather, and using their cell phones.
I couldn't believe that when I found that out. I watched the movie and I'm just like, no way, but it's true. But you know what, Rick, the thing that gets me, and I have a very huge space in my heart for these filmmakers, is that there is so much wonderful talent, amazing talent. The creativity just blows my mind. And that's just why it's so great that these festivals happen from time to time, or my book that explains about the Dollar Babies, because these people need to know their vision is historic, in my opinion. You can see the love in each one of them, and they're fans. That's what, at the end of the day, they're fans. And when you're a Stephen King fan, you do anything, I guess. I don't know.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, and I think you kind of nailed it. You nailed it there, Anthony. That I think that's the wonderful thing about Stephen King is that he creates, as scary as the stories often are that he creates. I think he also creates a world that is so relatable that we really do want to be a part of that, even if all it means is we want to sort of work almost with Stephen King in his mind at trying to figure out this world that really is our world. He's writing about us, he's writing about our towns, and I think that's a major draw perhaps to a lot of these films, and the accessibility that King gives to these amazing filmmakers is that they get to be a part of that world and a part of their world to better understand it. I think is a really cool thing.
It really is, and to be in, like I said, again, in the Stephen King universe history books is amazing. Again, you look at adaptations of all the films that have come out. What are we at now? Almost 65, 70 adaptations, maybe no more than that, I think, of King movie and TV shows, and there's more coming. But then these guys and ladies are part of that now, and that's just an honor among honors. And another thing too, real quick, is that some of these films are different because of King's writing. You got to remember they're based on King's early works, and he was a young lad,
Right.
And that was some people say that was a different type of King when he wrote in the 70s or early 80s compared to what he wrote now or the last, say, 20 years, for example. You read The Boogeyman or Last Rung on the Ladder or Very Tight Place or something like that, and then you read one of his short stories now. It's just it's so different in storytelling, but
right.
And these filmmakers have to capture that way he changed, over the years of his storytelling.
I always found that interesting about King as well. You can also almost follow him through the eras by and knowing that, okay, this is this life event and this level of experience at that time, and as they developed and evolved, so did his style, the type of stories that he told.
Yeah.
What do you say? So I can only imagine that a lot of folks that do want to be a part of that world and maybe part of that understanding and part of that group of almost mercenary filmmakers that are wanting to get these films and be a part of that and using that to catapult themselves and start their career, that want to be a part of this. What do you tell them? So if you've got somebody that's watching right now is thinking, how do I get a hold of one of these stories? I've got $1 in my couch cushion. I've got a little bit of summer allowance, and I refuse to waste my youthful years the way that I did. I didn't make any movies. What do you say to them? How do they get started? What's a good starting off point and maybe the first few steps for that?
Well, right off the bat, number one you got to do is you have to go to the official Stephen King webpage. There is a section there that talks about the Dollar Babies and the contract. You go there and it will give you all the information you need, who to contact, how to get involved. You have to get approved. You pick a story. There's a list of stories there that you can pick from, and only those. I wish there were more, but pick one. And once you're approved, once you got the story you want to do, grab that camera. Sign that contract, excuse me, pay that $1, then grab that camera, grab some friends, go spend a weekend, whatever, and bring your vision to life. Put it on the screen where it belongs, and put the Stephen King love you have into your work, and you're gonna make history. You're gonna have a lot of fun too.
Fantastic. Well, I really, really appreciate your time, Anthony. Thanks so much for that, and I can only imagine that this will hopefully bring a lot more awareness to the Dollar Babies, what you do as well with your festivals. Like I mentioned, I'm going to put all the links down below as well, so folks can check all of that stuff out as well. And hopefully, and where can people follow you? So they, as far as on socials and wherever else you might be lurking.
Well, right now I'm on social media on Facebook. You can find me there, or you can go to the HEK All Things King fan page, which has all any latest news or information or anything you need to know there. You can pick up the book. Once again, Stephen King Dollar Baby, the book. You can get it at Bear Manor Media Publishing webpage, or you can pick it up at Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, pretty much anywhere. And look for part 2. Stephen King Dollar Baby, the sequel, will be out later this year. And I appreciate the support and hope you enjoy the book, everybody.
Awesome. I have no doubt that we will. That thing's a door stopper, so they'll put a lot of your own heart, blood, and soul. And
it's almost 600 pages, Rick.
Yikes! That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a doorstop, and the second one's even bigger. But,
Perfect.
But I just want to say once again, if you were interested in Dollar Baby films, grab a camera, go out there and bring your vision to life, because we need more of them out there, and we need to keep these festivals happening more often than just once in a while. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, how old, rich or poor, it doesn't matter. Bring it to life. Have some fun. Show your Stephen King fandom.